Today we're going to be constructing the round cube single sauna. Upon receiving your sauna, make sure to read through the manual and make sure that all of the parts that you need and the tools required for the build are right with you. First step will be to set up the 3 support bays that will be at the bottom of the sauna itself. It is incredibly important that they are set up to specs at the proper measurements and nicely squared and level, because this is on which you'll be building the whole sauna. Once everything is squared and level and set up to specs, we're going to be positioning the first plank at the bottom that has to be absolutely dead center. Once you've installed your first plank for the base of the sauna into the supports, make sure that you still have a proper square in all 4 corners. Adjust if necessary before you start doing the rest of the build of the sauna. Afterwards, we're going to finish building up the floors. There's going to be a set of planks for the right side, set of planks for the left side. You're going to have to seat them properly with a rubber mallet, then drill and screw 2 screws on each end and 1 screw at a 45-degree angle on the right-hand side into the center support. Towards the end of building the floor of the sauna itself, the 10th plank after the center is going to be one with a slit on both sides. Once all of your floorboards are screwed in place, we'll be prepping them before installing the front and back panels. First of all, we're going to have to put some varnish, 2 coats of them, into the groove of the front and the back to properly seal it. After doing 2 coats of varnish in the grooves, we're going to be adding the paint on the overhanging parts of the front and the back. Next up is to assemble and install the drain pipe assembly. In the user guide, it tells you to do it at this point after the coats of varnish. We would strongly recommend installing it to the plank directly before installing the planks, as it's going to be very hard to access the underside of the sauna once all of the floorboards are screwed in place. Once the varnish is nice and dry, we'll be applying a foam strip on the inner side of the sluts to make sure that you have a nice seal when we're going to be installing the front and the back panels. We'll do this on both sides. Afterwards, we'll start building the front and the back panels. Back panels is going to be very easy. It's a 2-part that's going to go one on top of the other that we're going to set up with brackets. On the front end side, we're going to have to screw and glue the 2 window sides with the framing of the door. One last step before installing the front and the back panels will be to prep all of the planks that will be used for the build of the wall and the ceiling. To recap on how to prep the planks, there are 4 different products you'll be using for each and every plank. In the channels, you'll be applying a varnish to properly seal the channel around the framing of the front and the back. On the inside of the sauna, you have another varnish that can be used inside the sauna specifically to seal it. On the outer sides of the planks, on the inside face, you'll have a brown paint, and on the outside face, you'll have the black paint. Now, the varnish for the channels themselves absolutely has to be applied as you're building it, because it won't be possible to apply later. Now we're at the step of assembling and installing the front and the back panel of the sauna. Following the instructions, you'll see that it's recommended to start with the front wall and then the back wall. For the purpose of this video, we will be starting from the back and then the front, as it's just a little easier visually. For the front panel, according to the installation guide, it says to lay down the 2 mirror windows on both sides, as well as the 2 trims that are going to go between the door, glue them in place, and screw on 2 brackets. That being said, right now, with the way we're building it, we only have 2 to 3 people on hand, and those 2 mirrors are incredibly heavy. So unless you have a lot of people on hand that will help you bring it up and install it afterwards, we do recommend setting it up first onto the structure itself. So we're going to put the first part, hammer it in place, dead center, add the wood glue, and then we'll add 1 panel on one side, have someone hold it. Add the other panel on the other side. Put the top trim and then screw in the brackets once everything is set over there. Once you reach the point where you can no longer install any plank, you're gonna have to fill the final gap in the middle. To do that, you're gonna take the measure at the front and the back, divided by 2, and then we're gonna run a rip cut all across 2 boards to mate them perfectly. Little pro tip when finishing the rooftop, after you've made your first rip cut, bring back the piece on top of the sauna, remeasure again for the gap that's left afterwards to have a perfectly fit finish. At this point of the build, you can start splitting tasks between yourself and your partner. For example, right now, as I'm setting up, measuring and cutting the rip cuts for the last 2 planks of the roof of the sauna, my partner is applying the varnish on the outside of the sauna itself. Once all the planks are installed, we're gonna install 2 straps that go around the sauna to secure everything in place and make sure that nothing moves. To install the roofing and the shingles of this sauna, it will start off with 1 big roll that comes with the kit. It will have to be cut to the length of the sauna. First, you'll install 2 bends on both sides of the sauna, then a third one that will go on top and cover both of them to overlap. Once this is installed, you'll be using the weatherproofing tape. You'll be taping the seam of both edges of the sauna, as well as the 2 seams that you've created with the overlapping strips of shingles. After that, you'll be at the step of installing the proper shingles that will be finishing the sauna, starting from both sides, working your way from the bottom to the top, overlapping each and every one of them and offsetting them. Once we're done installing the shingles, we'll be installing the trims that will go cover the ends of the planks on front and the back of the sauna. And this will create a beautiful look on the outside to finish it. Moving on to the inside of the sauna. If your kit came with the wood wall that can be installed on the inside of the sauna, we'll be installing this one first. Then we will use a hole saw to do the vents cutout, come in from the back, and then we'll install the vents. Once your inside wall is installed, make sure that you mark exactly the proper height for every support for the benches that you'll need to be installing. Make sure that they are level. First step will be to install on the back wall as well as on the side walls the support for the benches, as well as screw in place the back supports that go on top of the benches. Make sure that you follow every step along the way, that every measurement indicated is respected, and that everything is done perfectly level. With the length of the sauna, if you're not perfectly level on those benches, you will see slightly slanted opening, especially when it comes down to the covering of the backrests. As mentioned earlier, now we'll be installing the door. We didn't do that before, just for filming purposes. But to install the door, it's gonna be very easy on this model. The frame around the door is already installed. You'll be sliding it from the outside in, and then bring in the framing of the door that's already in place. Screw it in place, make sure that everything is perfectly level, and then you will be ready to put the trims at the front to hide any openings. On this model of sauna, you'll see that the shingles are going downwards, which will make it a little hard for it to stick. To stick it in place, you're gonna need to use either a heat gun or you can use a little bit of pitch to be able to glue it in place perfectly. Otherwise, gravity will bring it down and open it back up. Congratulations on finishing the build of your sauna. If you have any questions along the build or after for usage or maintenance, don't hesitate to contact our customer service at Northern Saunas.